Scott, your head is appearing now, but you're upside down.
Who's upside down?
Scott's head.
Oh, yeah.
His face is there, but he's upside down.
Okay.
Bill, I came in late. Did you find out what was wrong with your internet?
Yeah, real quickly, they found a bad cable in the neighborhood. They said that they had to replace a section of it, so it was outside the house, and they apparently have found it. We're keeping the fingers crossed here today, but it has been seemingly working well for the last 2 weeks. So I periodically, I just get up and pray to the gods of Comcast, but or Spectrum. I think it's the same thing. But yeah, so far, knock wood. Yeah. Ow, hit too hard that one. Show me that. But yeah, it's upside down. Let's see. Jim Barry, he's upside down. Spacer is no up or down. And nobody can hear you scream. So for today, because I was so busy with police chases and appliances, I did not get the film scan that I want to, but we are going to go back into the film vault. As we did in prior weeks when we've done this. Again, on some of these things, but my general MO is to scan on one computer, just bulk scan, and then periodically go back in time and do the restoration. So we're going to see sets of slides that start with, sometimes I start at number one and, restore a few and then get bored and go to something else. Other times, everything in the box is fairly boring, but there's one really cool one that I got to work on. So you'll see things looking great, 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 that sort of thing. So we're going to start, if I can get my, let's see, let me see what year I'm starting with here. We're going to start with an unknown year. Okay, so we're going to make it interesting. So share screen. Okay. So a beautiful day in Flushing Meadows. It's 3:24 in the afternoon. And we don't know the temperature if it hasn't turned around, but obviously right outside General Motors, the train, you can see the engine in the background, the diesel locomotive that they had on display there. And that's one of the fountains. So it was one on the south side and one on the north side. So both GM and Ford had small fountains outside. But yeah, it looks like a really nice day in Flushing Meadows, doesn't it?
Bill, do you know what the red spires on the right, is that part of General Motors?
Yeah, they had what you call stuff under display out there. This whole area, everything in here was General Motors. So you had the train, and then outside you had, I don't remember exactly what they had on display out there, but it was all part of the General Motors footprint. And that's one of the things I'll be looking for now, is find those red spires and see what the hell's under them. So going over to Ford, they're having a nice day too. Down below, you can see that they had a Mustang on display. They most often in the very front had Mustangs, but every now and then you find they had a Galaxie 500 or a Fairlane or some other odds and ends. And coming, they're not there today, but Carol Baker is coming, and Sue, what was the name of the woman starring Lolita?
Sue Lyon.
Sue Lyons, right? So Sue Lolita Lyons is coming, and Anna Marie Alberghetti. Carol, you just mentioned the other day about seeing her in plays, right?
I did. I saw her in the play Carnival many years ago.
Yeah.
Here in the San Fernando Valley.
It was funny you just mentioned her the other day, and here she
Yeah.
pops up. So
Actually, I think it was Anna Maria, not Marie, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think it is Maria.
Yeah, okay.
well, they couldn't afford the real one. They got Anna Marie.
Then they said, tricked you.
Yeah.
They
Hollywood
ran out of
special.
they ran out of A's for the signboard.
Well, if they did, if that was the case, it could have made her Anna Maria Alberghetti. So
I see that the big handshake thing was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the hand that they moved around from inside to outside that we've seen on other pictures was used for Roman.
My mother used to call her Anna Marie Hot Spaghetti.
Okay. And a nice day in New York for a drive out on the highway. It was interesting. I was restoring some pictures from the 1939 World's Fair, and there's a picture of Grand Central Parkway, which had cars almost like this on it. I mean, really ancient. So 2 weeks from now, I'm doing the first in a series of talks to the Adventure Club of New York again. And I've got some really, really interesting pictures. So I'll go more into that about a week before we get to it. But I've got a whole bunch of 1939 World's Fair 16mm footage I'm working on. And there's the Swiss clock. We can't quite tell the time, but it's probably not too far off from the time we saw before. We can place this to 1964. The slides were not labeled with the date and time. You know, they always had the neat little things that would, you know, stamp the date and the number on them. Sometimes they would emboss it in there, and I literally have to keep a magnifying glass here at the desk sometimes to be able to read what is, you know, the dates on those things. This one didn't have anything on it, but we can tell it's 64 because there's an escorter passing by.
Bill, were they in Kodak mounts?
Yes, these are in Kodak mounts. But they sometimes the people, the processing, I don't know if they didn't redo the ribbon in the thing. I had one box of slides where every slide in the box was number 7. You know, so there were 27, you know, slides in the box, all number 7, because obviously the little machine was screwed up. I also had one which was really great because it was obviously the 1964 World's Fair, and the slides was dated something like, you know, 1972. So either they sat there, you know, a whole bunch of years without getting developed, which could have been the case if it was my mother, or somebody just had the date stamp set wrong. Hey, is your company coming to visit me? Let me see who's going on down there.
Cute.
Yeah, it's a great shot. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, again, you don't see this in these still flint frames, how his head moved back and forth as he looked around, and it was great to see. We had seen him when he was being built upstate New York, so it was, and at that point he was in 2 pieces. His head was sitting next to him, so it was kind of neat to come down and see him put together. Because they had built them all set and that, you know, together, and then they had to take them apart to get them down the road to the barge to take them down. It looks like a pretty crowded day, doesn't it? I guess people are taking advantage of the nice weather. So here, yeah, this one was one I've restored, so it's nice and clean and blue and everything. And then we start getting into, this is too blue because the just whatever way it faded, and I've got to work on it. This one's interesting because it's one of the very few pictures that shows up of anybody in a wheelchair. Today we'd be clogged with mobility scooters and everything else, but back then I guess a lot of people, if you were in a wheelchair, you just you know, the crowds might have been too much for you or that sort of thing. Certainly not motorized. And out by Chrysler, those chairs got a lot of use. I'm surprised there's nobody sitting there with their feet in the water. The entrance to Sinclair. Bunch of Boy Scouts, or no, they're not Boy Scouts. Those are sports jackets down on the left with Parker Pen. Let's see if we can figure out who these hoodlums are wearing these jackets. Looks like, does it say Flushing? Yeah, so they didn't come very far, did they? Now,
They're
what's
not guardian angels, at least.
yeah. When you go through the pictures, though, if we go back again, when you wonder how people took them, you see everything's nice and green and, you know, in this picture. And then you get here, no leaves on the trees, everybody's wearing heavy coats. So they probably took a bunch of pictures, put the camera aside, went back, took some more. And it could even be that sometimes you find half the roll shot in 64, half shot in 65. So we'll see if we see anything in the rest of it that narrows it down. Outside of Denmark. Protestant Orthodox Pavilion. When was the last time anybody saw an old style baby carriage like that, huh?
Hmm.
You know, I think today my daughter spent more in the stroller for our granddaughter than I did on my first car. I mean, they've changed, they're so high tech and everything, but you just never see this sort of thing going around these days.
It was probably bigger than your first car too.
Yeah. No, the first car was a 1960 Chevy Impala. That was big.
Oh,
Yeah,
another big car.
that was a good sized car. Which it was a straight six, and if you wanted to accelerate, you had to make a reservation about a month in advance.
Is it a rag top at least?
No, it was a hand-me-down from my grandparents, and they never would have had a rag top. But the one thing I remember about it was that whatever the alleged brakes in it, if they got wet at all, they did not work, and a heavy fog, I think, would set them off. But I drove down to visit my friend on the south side of our town, which had a flooding going on, and I realized I'm not stopping. It was scary as hell.
Well, you were at least driving a boat.
Yeah, it almost went into the canal at the end of the street. It was kind of scary. So we have a beautiful day out here at General Motors. I'm sorry, General Electric. Not much of a line for them. The International Plaza. My mom liked the stuff in here, the Hummel shop. She would go in and just dream for hours about taking stuff home, because every time she brought a Hummel home, my brothers and I somehow would manage to break it. Playing baseball in the living room is not a good idea. Take it from me.
And one of the ever-present nuns too.
I was just gonna point her out. She's over there. Your eyes drawn to the International Plaza trash can, you know. But the
think,
nuns,
I think the nun, I think that nun is an enormous Hummel figure.
The brass rail is clean, that's for sure.
yeah, it looks, and here's another view of it, nice and clean.
Now, is that barbecue chicken sign part of the brass rail or no?
No, that was a part of the snack bar inside the International Village or International Marketplace. And off we go to Hawaii. Back to the marketplace. Like I said, if these things are not numbered or anything, they can all be out of order. When I do get a box of slides in, I do try to put them in order to kind of reconstruct the path people took. But if you just get them all in and there's no markings whatsoever on the box, sometimes I will go through and look at it and try to figure out, okay, here's this pavilion, here's that pavilion, the order they go in. And some other times I just say, the heck with it, it's not worth it. Now this one, you could go in and you could get your pictures painted. They had artists at the Belgian Village. They had a number of places. But if you zoom in slightly on this one, you can see they had samples on the walls in here that you could come and get a pastel drawing. You could get a caricature, but you could also get an oil painting. Generally, those were oil paintings that it's painted and were up on the wall. You didn't go and pose for an oil painting of yourself. And we hop over to the Africa Pavilion, the Treehouse Restaurant. Yeah, that brass rail looks really brand spanking new, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And two Golido rides, or the tram rather, going by in both directions outside Sweden.
Bill, can you go? I'm sorry. Can you go back one with the camel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one was probably taken on a Wednesday.
Okay.
Someday.
All right.
Okay.
Do you have an ejection
I was
button?
waiting for someone to say that.
Bill, you need to use your ejection button.
Look, Wayne thought that was hilarious, so I'm satisfied.
Okay.
He's here all week, folks.
Yeah.
It was clever.
2 drink minimum.
Don't forget to tip your waitress.
Now on
Waiter.
this one, if you zoom in, you can see how sometimes the pictures start getting a little problem with mildew or stuff coming on. Luckily, it's pretty easy. I'll just draw a circle around this, click on it, and it'll fix it. You can start seeing again if we go in further. some of the little scratches and stuff that I've used the filters on the infrared filter on the scanner to take out most of it, but it still leaves some in. But luckily, these are really easy to take out.
Maybe it's the first picture of dark matter ever taken.
Well, if that's the case, I've got a whole bunch of its brothers. Yeah, matter of fact, we're going to see one set today if we get to it that were really, really great shots on large format slides. But unfortunately, were stored in a damp environment, and after a while, you just have to say, ignore the brown spots. The rest of it's really kind of neat.
Oh, Bill,
Yeah.
my cousin went ecstatic over the photos that you picked for me.
Oh, really? Great.
Oh, she was so happy.
Oh,
Oh, God.
glad they worked out. I was glad I was
Thank
able
you.
to do it for you. You know, it's funny. I remember so many of the pavilions really well. I can't remember much about Pakistan. I went in because anything that was free I went to at least once. But you know, you just wonder why some of them were so memorable and others, you know, okay, I know I was there, but
Was it full of rugs, Bill?
I don't remember. That's the thing. I don't remember much about it at all. I just, you know, going in, you know, looking at it and coming out. I have, like I said, some pavilions I could basically walk in and tell you how to get to the, you know, where the door to this was or anything. Others are like, I know I was there, but Pakistan it's always amazed me. You know, I have one or two interior shots and they just don't ring a bell at all. Back to the international marketplace.
Where was that marketplace? It doesn't ring a bell with me right now.
Oh God, I'm looking at the map. How to best describe it? It was over on the south. Let's see. I'm trying to look at this map how it's oriented. Basically, on the southeast side of the fair.
Yes.
They do a nice job with all the plantings and everything. I mean, I've mentioned on other talks, right up to the end, they still kept the plants and everything going really, really nicely looking. If we were at the fair today,
Except for that lawn.
yeah, well, when the drought hit, that really took a thing on it. On some of these things, this would have been probably the responsibility of the China Pavilion to deal with. This is the responsibility of the Fair Corporation. So, in this particular one, I know we would have been going here because my son is absolutely addicted to Chinese food. So we probably would have had eight tenths of our meals there. But on this one, just zoom in one more time. How many people would go to the fair wearing a hat with giant flowers on it these days?
Looks like Aunt B.
Yes. Yeah. So you can
Easter
tell things
Sunday.
yeah. Things are changing. You know, people are starting to, not everybody's in suits and stuff, but this is again right outside the International Village. If that helps you orient yourself to it. So orientate yourself to it. It's the Tower of London. Two armored cars. They must have really been pulling in the money that day. Up here, you look at it and you try to figure out, is this a early solar panel or what they were doing here? So I have no idea what that roof motif is. I mean, it looks like a skylight, but then this is up over it, and does it go up or down?
The reason, it looks like there's a
Vent.
chimney or a pipe. Maybe it's there to deflect smoke.
Yeah.
Or
It looks like
vent.
it looks like a skylight.
Yeah.
No, it looks more like it's a
pipe.
chimney.
Yeah, I
There's
see
a
a
chimney
pipe.
there of some sort.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're right.
Gotta be there to deflect smoke, but I don't know how it would help to move it 2 feet to the left, you know?
Well, Scott may appreciate this. At Boy Scout camp, you'd always, you know, take the newer kids and you'd send them over to the smoke would always come out of your campfire into your face. And you'd always send the tenderfoots over, tell them to go to the next campsite and get me a left-handed smoke shifter.
I was one of those, no matter what side of the fire I sat on. And
Oh,
no matter
yeah.
where I moved, I got the smoke.
Oh, me
Yeah.
too. I can go anywhere and it goes straight for me. And when we're putting out flares at an accident, I'm having all these flashbacks to Boy Scout camp because this smoke goes straight to me. But no, all the kids would get together. You send them out for the left-handed smoke shifter, and they'd come back. Oh, they just lent it to another troop.
I think this is to just keep water out, you know,
Yeah,
on
I'd say
rainy
that's
days.
probably it. If there's rain or something, keep the rain off it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's weird. It's big. It's tall. It's just kind of different. So
Was
Uh-huh.
that Lowenbrow that we just looked? Is that Lowenbrow or?
no, this is Switzerland. This is the
Oh,
wings on it.
right.
Yeah, you can see what you
I
call
see.
this.
I see this, the red sign too, yeah. Off
Yeah.
to the lower left, yeah.
Right. So this
Okay,
was the
lower right.
restaurant part of it here, and then over here was the Swiss watch part of the exhibit.
They must be doing good. They got 2 Wells Fargo trucks.
Yep. Maybe they're bringing more money in to keep the ferry going. Yeah, you can see again the drought on this one is really starting to take a toll on the median here. Nice intricate grill work. And our favorite pavilion.
They had someone climb that this week.
Climb what? The New York State Pavilion?
Yeah. He somehow managed to get to the top, and ESU had a fun time bringing him down.
Oh, I bet. Well, getting up there today would be easy with all the stairs and scaffolding. But I guess if you don't want to get them, if they don't want to come down.
Yeah.
Here's the Lithuanian Wayside Cross. Sadly vandalized, and the city promised to put it back and never did.
Bill, Michelle just wrote it. That was her.
What's that?
It wasn't her.
Michelle just wrote that it was her that climbed the.
It wasn't.
It was not.
Anyone know where Joey was that day?
Ah,
You know,
Joey heard
I
there's a blue lamp still up top, and he went to go get it.
I had my my moment in the sun that day. So there's hardly any way to get up there anymore because the stairs are all ripped out. And there's scaffolding everywhere, and they were doing some work last weekend with the elevators going up and down now. So they are working on it.
Wow.
Yeah, you're talking about the construction elevators, not the.
Yeah, the construction elevators. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Sky streaks.
So it's just a nice busy day. I saw in one of these pictures the other day a kid that I almost thought was me. You know, because again, like everybody else, I'm always looking for myself. Did somebody catch me on any one of my trips? In all my 30,000 plus pictures of the World's Fair, I have exactly one so far that I found that my best friend took of me and when we were there for the Boy Scouts. Meadow Camera, the photo supply place outside of Kodak. And you can see again, you know, somebody asked in a prior talk about the skies and the blue and everything. There's been no touch up or anything done in this picture. This is totally a raw scan. And you can see how empty the skies are and not a cloud in sight, sort of like the picture behind Don today. So we'll go to another box of slides, and this one is May 1965. So this was the former Pan American Gardens. They had this cart there, and when they put in the what you call it, the Avis go-kart track, they just dragged this off to the side for some local color. So somebody's told her to pose, and she looks real thrilled with it. But I guess it's a kind of still cool in there in the fair season with her long coat on. But at least she's got comfortable shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say she looks like she can't decide if she wants to smile or frown.
Yeah. Like, how long is it going to take you to take that picture?
Where are you taking me for lunch?
Yeah, all right. But then you can see down below where we just were, there's the race course track that they put in for the go-karts. And So again, I've mentioned before, I've got to someday try to figure out what all these pictures were at any one point in time. I wrote to Kodak and they had no records whatsoever, in their implosion and downsizing. They got rid of all that stuff. We are up here at the top of the what you call it, Better Living Center, and maybe they'll take me to lunch at the Hilton restaurant up top. Kind of a gray, gloomy day, sort of like we're having in LA today. This would be fitting in really well.
Oh, hey, you can get a count. How many people were there that day?
Yep, that's another thing. We started trying to figure out again on one of the World's Fair groups, his fellow Randy Treadway and I were trying to figure out when all these dates were, with all the counter, trying to figure out when a picture might be, dated. And so that was a lot of work, and we just never finished the project.
Since world population, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So let's see. We zoom in. No, I don't see any VIPs up here today. Pretty empty up here. I mean, you can actually look. I mean, maybe it's just reflections back, but if we go up here, a couple people up there, and nobody ever on the mystery level. So again, with all my pictures, I think I have 3 of them maybe with people on that level.
What was that level for?
It was supposedly going to be just another level for the thing. It had an elevator stop, and then there's a staircase that goes between this level and the other level. But they had vending machines on this level. So, theoretically, it was going to be open. You could come up here and get yourself a candy bar or whatever, but they stopped using it like immediately after the fair opened. Somebody said they thought it was too much trouble for the elevators to make an extra stop, or confusion. I don't know, it's one of those things you go to get down and they're all full of people coming down from up above. I don't know, but they just never used it. Like I said, I have tons and tons and tons of pictures of people up here, and then the lower one, maybe 3. So I would not have liked to have had the the vending machine concession. Or if you got up there, I hope you didn't buy yourself a carton of milk.
Okay, I'm sorry, my memory is failing me. What pavilion is that?
Jordan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You can't quite see it, but there's letters in the tower that don't show up at this angle that say Jordan. And it was really neat with all these skylights. When you went in during the day, it was really kind of neat that they came in and lit up. Down here, they had reproductions of famous runes in there. And inside, being Catholic, I had always assumed stained glass was a Catholic thing, because it was in all of our churches. All these windows were stained glass windows, and they were kind of abstract designs, but they were really, really neat to go on a really bright sunny day. The pavilion was really, outside it was interesting, but inside it was really very bright and very colorful. And that's, like I said, I can remember this one so well. And I can't remember Pakistan,
Bill, what are
There's a
all,
lot of trash out back.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
What are all the blue awnings next to the brass rail? Is that a seating area?
Yeah, well, I'll zoom in on both these things. Yeah, the trash, that was one of the issues with a lot of these pavilions, is where do you put your trash, during the day? Some of them had things that were, covered over, and others, they just, kept it out back. Now you can see that this is not really a pedestrian, type of area. There's no real walkway that's going around. So unless you're on the Skyway, which people are taking this picture, it's sort of out of sight, out of mind. Over here, depending on the other side, there was vending machines out here, which were very soda machines, which were very incongruous with the rest of the pavilion. This great thing, and there's a giant Coke or Pepsi machine. And then up here, yes, these are awnings over a seating area for the brass rail. So in here you had, the covering over the food area, and in the back, you can just see up here, it's hard to make out, was sort of like a bleacher type sitting that you would go and sit on. And then some, but not all the brass rails had picnic tables with awnings over it. The largest one was right next to the New Jersey Pavilion. They had a very large seating area. But yeah, down here you can see there's a souvenir stand and everything else down here. And what do we have? Oh, this was the edge of Japan. So isn't this a great day for the time machine? Look how
Beautiful.
pretty it is.
Mhm.
What a great shot.
Yep, all from the
It's
sky.
also kind of twilight dinner
Yeah.
time, which is usually the deadest time at Disney parks too, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
everybody's
Kinda-
taking their kids home for the day, or they haven't come in at night yet.
Nice bronze color.
And you can see again, if we're wanting to look for things like trash and stuff, there's more stuff where do you put it all day long? It's actually surprising when you consider that the trash trucks came through the fair during the day to pick up garbage, But I guess some of these areas had very small areas. You probably couldn't keep an entire day's worth and get it there at night. You probably needed it during the day. So here's the Bar Green Buffet, which was originally supposed to be the Argentinian pavilion, which Argentina built it and paid for it, and then they had to change the regime and said they couldn't afford to run it. So in the '64 season, it was a art gallery, which didn't get a lot of attention. So it came back in '65 as the Bar Green Buffet, and I've got one picture which they moved just a little, but you can see how large this whole area was. And it was basically 2-story, giant seating area for the buffet restaurant. That's what's kind of neat about nighttime shots. Is during the day you're just going to see reflections. At night you start to be able to look and see inside. Do I really, really want to take this home with me? How much?
Is that the same lady or girl
Yes.
we saw earlier in the coat?
Yeah. Yeah, same coat and same purse.
Yeah.
And then we look up here, and I can't quite make out what that's saying up there.
It's like,
It says the Hilton Inn.
yeah. It
So-
says
Association at the
Indian?
bottom.
Indian something or other?
Yeah, Indian something.
Mills.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is
It's
that
a Republican
association the
convention.
bottom word?
The Indian Republican Convention mascot.
yeah. I have not figured out what pavilion this is. Again, you look at it and you try to figure out, okay, this is artwork show up here in some other picture, or what are these, little displays in glass down here? They'll show up someday. We'll figure it out.
What's the, up, if you go back, the sign says India something or other. doesn't it?
India House of something, I think it says.
Okay.
Indian House of Pancakes?
Mercantile.
No, they only had waffles at the World Fair, no pancakes.
All right, everybody had to have waffles. And my favorite time, night, the fireworks show. Look at all the people. I like that, I love fireworks, but this was great because if you wanted to go on any of the crowded pavilions, this was the time to do it because everybody was down here. So you wanted to go see General Motors one more time. We ran down there at 9 o'clock to see General Motors because all these people were there watching the fireworks and not getting on Futurama. And evidently they had fixed time for just one picture of the fireworks. So we're going to be hopping into June 1964. The Last Supper. It was very nice that they put everybody's name on there. Otherwise, would have known who this was, right? Now, somebody in some collection someplace probably has a nameplate.
Which pavilion was this in?
Oh God, this was
The Jewish one.
No, I'm trying to remember which one this was. I think, yeah, Protestant and Orthodox.
Oh,
Here's the outside. But they also had this done in wax over at the Wax Museum. So they had two competing Last Suppers. our buddy, the rocket thrower. Ah, well, who do we have here? Now, if somebody can identify that order, I'm going to be very, very impressed. They often would do dancing out here, Indian dance act. You wonder if these people were from New Mexico because they took so many pictures.
Oh, hey, that's Boland's, the Running Indian.
Yeah,
That's a Route 66 company. Now you got my other interest area
I saw you perk up.
here. Wow, I didn't know they were there.
Yeah, matter of fact, they took these caricatures, cutouts here, and they were back at their place on the route for a number of years.
Can you send me a copy of that one, Bill?
Yeah, sure.
I know the people at Boland's. They might be interested in seeing this.
Yeah, let me make a note.
What are you guys talking about?
On Route 66, there's a whole, well, they're still there, but there used to be a ton of trading posts. They were called Boland's Trading Post, and the Running Indian was their mascot, that.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, all down Route 66 in the Southwest, that trademark showed up all over. You don't see them anymore, but it used to be almost omnipresent back in the day.
Well, after
In the
Is that a
90s.
person in blue?
Yeah, or a mannequin.
the guy in the blue, he's a stuffed figure with a sign around his neck that says, "Please do not touch." And we could spend a half hour looking at photos of people touching him.
Yep.
Of course.
Yeah, on this,
Were these Indians, I'm sorry, were these Indian signs like in the 1950s or?
40s and 50s. They were even present in the 70s. That's the last time I remember seeing them.
yeah, on this particular one, Don, they had postcards that they, sold or gave out at the pavilion. After the fair closed, like I said, they actually took these mannequins and put them back at their real facility, but they stamped a bunch of the postcards saying, now after the fair, we're now here. They had evidently a stack left, and they were reselling them at the real facility, but they were selling 64 postcards with an overprint on them.
Huh,
Yeah, I'll be glad. I made a note. I'll get you a picture of it.
thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
Oh, somebody didn't obey the rules. They took a picture of Mr. Lincoln. We have to track them down.
Just
This is
before
gonna
they
be
threw a ball bearing at him.
Yeah, this is gonna be a real bear to to restore.
Well, you could take pictures as long as they weren't flash, correct?
Yeah, but again, without a flash, most people weren't going to get anything with it, and this was probably without a flash.
Yeah.
If you took a flash, the flash was going to go a whole 6 feet and not do any good at all. So here we have again the mystery level, not a soul on it, and the elevator going up. On some of these shots, the angle's wrong in this one, but in some of these shots, you can actually see the vending machines standing up on that level. So crazy, design it, build it, and don't use it. But up here, we can see a few people up top going for their binoculars. My dad worked for a Japanese company at the time, so we spent a lot of time at the Japan Pavilion. And he was very proud that, Japanese export was his company, was a shipping company, and they were bringing all the stuff into the country. So he was very glad when people were going there and showing interest in Sony TVs or Nissan cars, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But again, look how clear the skies are.
Okay.
Jewish American Israel Pavilion.
This is 1964, correct?
This is 64, June of 64, yes.
Didn't they put like big postage stamps
They're
on
off
it?
on this wall here. Yeah, I don't remember how far they came down, but they did add the giant blown up postage stamps. Yeah, that's on my changes during the fair page that they added it in. Another one I don't remember very well, Lebanon. Being Catholic, of course, I remember this one real well. Not as long a line as in many other pictures. Belgian village going up in the background. Mentioned before, if you go to Kennebunkport, Maine, the statue is on display. It was I think a Franciscan monastery, which now evidently you can stay there as a bed and breakfast sort of thing. What was still being used for religious purposes when we were there about 5 years ago. But somebody said now you can stay overnight on the grounds. But they have a nice little sign out front telling you that this came from the World's Fair. And it's not on a building; it's standing on its own, which having the whole sky and everything behind it makes it even more vivid. But yeah, my friend who lives up in Kennebunkport knew about my interest in the fair, and she didn't tell me what we were going to see. So he, said, "Oh, here's something. We'll go in and visit this monastery. Something you might want to see." Oh, okay. Came around the bend. My God, there it was. He said the look on my face was really worth it. We'll go to more, another box from June of '64. Come on. Oh, actually, we're going to May of '64 for this one. So the Mormon Pavilion. And I've not seen this in person, but this is at the Mormon Church down in West LA near LAX.
I think I told you this story before, but they took that statue from the World's Fair, and put it in the visitor center here in Salt Lake. And, and they also made little tiny versions of it. But when I did the World's Fair record presentation, and I called down to the historians at the LDS Church, and they had no idea that their statue in the visitor center came from the World's Fair. So, and I mean, he couldn't answer any questions I had about the connections to the World's Fair. It was like, what kind of historian are you?
Yeah, I helped them with their magazine article that came out in the journal about the World's Fair. And
what year?
Oh, it's on my website, and you can actually download the article. So if you go to World's Fair or BillCotter.com, past projects, and it's on there.
Okay.
Some of the people were very knowledgeable, and others, didn't know anything. But yeah, I was more than glad to help them with that. It's sort of I can relate, and Kenneth is here. He'll remember when I went to them and said, giving the talk, "Oh, the rocket out in your visitor center came from the World's Fair," and everybody was like, "It did?"
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Nowadays, most people would say, "What's the World's Fair?"
Yeah.
Even more fun when
what's
we
a
tried
World's
to
Fair?
find out more information about it. We said, "Where'd you get the information you got?" And they said, "Oh, from Bill Cotter." It's like, well, that didn't get us anywhere.
Yeah. I wrote to NASA and said, because Kenneth was very nice. He invited me to come down and give a talk at the Goddard Space Flight Center. And, I remember when I was trying to put together stuff, I wrote to NASA and said, I need to get some stuff about your exhibits at World's Fair. And they said, "Oh, we don't have anything, but we can give you the name of this guy who does, Bill Cotter." I said, "That's me." I felt like I was in a living Mobius strip,
I used to work for OSHA, and we, one of the things we tested and worked on was asbestos. And these two guys got in a fight, and one's last name Dixon, the other guy, I can't think of his name, but anyway, he said, "Well, we'll settle this once and for all. We'll call the national headquarters and find out who the biggest expert is on the matter." And then so they called, and they said the biggest expert was this Dixon that was in the argument.
Now this one's kind of interesting. If we go over here, look at these outfits. Anybody able to place what that might have been?
Quaker?
Amish, maybe Quaker Amish. Not tell.
Could be,
Amish bonnets that I'm familiar with. But
yeah, it could be. It could be Mennonites.
Yeah.
Mennonites, yeah.
I think that would be the World's Fair would be overload to an Amish person.
True.
Oh, that's a good point.
Now look at how many feathers with hats in it on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those were umbrellas.
No,
Poor
no.
little
Feathers,
ostriches.
right? Yeah.
If we zoom in here, we can say, okay, we got a blue one, a red one, another red one,
The green one.
magenta one, another red one, another red one.
We'll get you one, Bill, before the tariffs go up.
What's that?
We'll get you one before the tariffs go up, Bill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please do. I always, you look at these and go, I wonder what kind of bird they came from. Big bird.
Ostriches.
Yeah.
Ostriches.
The world of refreshment. Imagine today if you went there, how popular this would be with all the flavors of Coke that if you go to Coke World down in Atlanta.
Yeah, at Milan at Expo 2015, Coca-Cola had a fairly substantial pavilion, and the same kind of thing. You could go in and sample stuff from all over the place for free, even. And
I think
so
we've mentioned in other talks the one that you could not get me to sample again is Beverly.
Oh,
It
yeah.
grows on you, Bill. It grows on
It
you.
starts out nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Ah! I'd rather
It is
drink
nice, but,
SCP.
Isn't the rule you have to taste something like 5 times and then your taste buds will start to like it?
or your taste
burn
buds will be
out, yeah.
dead.
Yeah, one or the other. Yeah.
So here at Coke, we had the Carillon, which is now down in Georgia, and here is the fellow playing it. It could be either computerized or whatever tape system they use to play it, or he could come in and play it himself. But look at all those pedals. I mean, Carol and I've gone to a number of organ concerts, and you try to figure out where did somebody learn how to play some of those gigantic, organs. But where do you go to learn to play a Carillon? Look at all. I mean, that to me is pretty impressive. It also looks like a pretty high-tech bench he's got there too. And everybody's coming in. So although Pepsi obviously had the big one, a lot of people still came in and saw Coke.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
With that particular last picture there outside, have you noticed on these slides whether they were what the film type was, whether they were Kodachrome, Ektachrome, Aptachrome, Fujichrome, something like that? Because that'll make a big difference with regard to the color latitude. You said, are these processed or not processed by you yet? Have these been processed?
I'd have to go and look back at the individual slides. I generally don't make a note on them. It's funny you mentioned that. I got a big box of Disney World photos, and I was sorting them out yesterday. The guy just put them like all in a 10 years worth of stuff. It was 189 slides, and he didn't bother sorting them out. So it's like, oh, okay, I know these all go together because these are Agvachrome or whatever it is. These are Ektachrome, these are Kodachrome. So for the majority of these, just because of the market share, the majority of these became Kodak, but they were not all necessarily developed by Kodak. And so sometimes you end up with just plain mounts that's just a color transparency on it. If you do take them out, you can sometimes figure out exactly what's stock. But you can tell the Ektachromes I generally shot mostly myself because I like, for outdoor shots, I like the way they made the skies look bluer. But they also then tend to go towards bluer. Kodachrome holds its own the best, but then Kodacolor goes red real fast. So there's just also, and then you get some of them that are just really terrible stocks.
Well, that's what I was going to mention, that, each reversal film had its own, specifications of color latitude when it was made. And it's a general indication, if you know the film type on the slide that you're processing here, whether, short of the photographer's lack of getting the right exposure, or short of its storage over the years and its deterioration or lack of from that storage, short of flaws in the processing of the reversal film from the photo processor, you can at least basically tell. Like I said, on this one, I was going to probably guess it's like if anything, an Ektachrome, which are heavier in the blues, where the Kodachromes are more more vibrant in the reds and the greens. And so you've been commenting here a little bit in the last, few slides about look how blue that sky is. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's not Kodachrome. That's got to be an Ektachrome slide, or at least some reversal film that, was a little heavier in the blue scale. But I just wondered if you had noticed that yourself as your process, whether they were, which film type it was.
I'd say 90% of my collection, if not higher, is Kodachromes. That's just what people were using. Now, I generally use, these are all scanned on a Nikon CoolScan scanner using the Nikon software. There are third-party softwares, ViewScan, and I forget the name of the other one off the top of my head, that do build a lot of color profiles into it that say if you know that your shot, this was on, Kodacolor 2, whatever, that they try to make more subtle corrections based on the film. The trouble is that, first of all, the interface on those other programs I just hate. One of them also charges you for every type of scanner. So if you have a Nikon, on this particular one, I have a Nikon 5 and I have a Nikon 5000. Oh no, we've got to charge you a separate one for both.
Yeah, that's silver fast.
Silver fast, yeah.
And
It
it's
drives me crazy.
worse than per type of scanner. It's per serial number.
Yeah, I mean, so you say, okay, I have, I'm looking around here. I have 2 types of Epson scanners behind me. Oh, I'm going to buy 2 separate licenses for it. And I've got 2 Nikon scanners. No, I'm not going to go bankrupt buying licenses for it. But the majority of these are, like I said, are Kodak, Kodachrome. But every now and then you end up with something you just can't tell because it's a white generic, mount. Or something.
Bill and Baron, the blue skies, could be from a polarizing filter, although I don't know how popular those were back in the 60s.
Could be.
And also, if it's in a Kodak mount, it's a Kodak film because Kodak wouldn't process maybe until the very end of Kodak's existence in film processing. Because I can remember when I worked at the camera department at Kmart in the late 60s, early 70s, people would fill out the Kodak envelope and drop in Agfachrome, and of course they'd come back, we don't develop this. And so, it's, so the Kodak mount would indicate it's, Kodachrome or Ektachrome.
Yeah, but when you get one of the generic mounts, you don't know what it was.
Well, I would presume, with regard to the polarizing filter, that most of these are just snapshots from fairgoers with, basic cameras or a little bit better cameras. None of them are professionally shot where a guy's going to throw a polarizing filter on it. But I mean, it's not a non-possibility, But
I think advanced amateurs would, probably have.
Yeah.
Well, as we move down, we get to the Coke Pavilion, the counter here. There was all these people that said, "Oh, I'd love to go to Coca-Cola because they gave you all the free soda you wanted." No, it was 10 cents a cup. Those cups, they're gold cups. I mean, they're paper cups, but they got a gold foil on them. And a number of years ago, a bunch of them showed up on eBay, and I have one sitting somewhere in a box. But I got a kick out of, I don't know what they were selling that they covered over on the machine. There was some brand that I guess they don't sell anymore, and they took it off. But it's also, she's pouring it out of the bottle, and there's the machine sitting right there. So maybe the machine was out of order. But let's pay attention to the rule: no tipping.
And you notice it's not great with food; it's just good with food.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine who back in 1964 would have thought about buying a 10-cent Coke and giving her a tip? I mean, the sign just strikes me as strange. Also, if you're a fan of Back to the Future, you may remember he goes in the place and says, "Give me a tab," and the guy says, "How do I give you a tab? You haven't bought anything yet." So we can tell Tab came out somewhere between 1950, whatever, for Back to the Future, and 60.
He also says, give me a Pepsi free.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Well, you got my attention here with that one particular flavor that's been covered up. If anybody can think, at this, if this is 64, what were the major brands that Coca-Cola had that maybe it was covered up, not because they couldn't serve it. It was maybe because they were just out of it for a while. I don't think it had, it could have been something with, we're out of stock of it today or tomorrow, so let's put a sticker on it.
Might have been
Something
root
rubber.
beer.
Could have been, yeah, or
I have it on
orange.
good- I have on a good authority that it used to say Beverly.
Yep. Might have been Mr. Pibbs, actually. That was their Dr. Pepper.
You
So
know,
it'd be interesting to see if there was some brand they discontinued.
Well, Mr. Pibb
covering it up
Well-
if you're out of it was a good idea because
come out until the 70s.
as we all know from McDonald's, you go through the drive-through just craving that milkshake, and of course, guess what's not working that day?
Yeah.
And stuck in the drive-through. Yeah.
White Castle. I'll take a White Castle shake over McDonald's.
Yeah, we don't have them out here, so
I know.
In and Out is better than McDonald's.
Yeah. Anything's better than McDonald's.
I actually like their shakes. Their shakes are good.
You're making me hungry. I may take a drive out to the White Castle and get a sack.
Well, send us some.
No, thank you.
The only burger you could eat once and have it 5 more times.
Oh,
This is 65, isn't it?
That was 64.
Well, the
let me-
support
Oh.
column for the Sky Ride is still white.
Yeah, and there's one other one here too. Let me go back here real quick. You can tell this is 64 because there were 3 junks in 64. They took out one of the junks in 65 and put in a different snack, the souvenir stand sort of thing. So
Yeah, I got it backwards.
yeah, and then somebody mentioned the Skyway. Go back. Yeah, these would have been painted red in 65. And this would have just said Central America and Panama. Again, they just chiseled it off and never even fixed the wall. It just looked like somebody chiseled it off. But more hats with flowers. Today, all the feathers here are white. So there's 1 white one, 2 white ones, 3 white ones, 4 white ones. Let me get to the next batch here. So again, that was May of 64. And we're going to go to June of 64. Sometimes you can make out the signage in these, and other times it's just a little bit blurred, and you have to kind of, take out the Rosetta Stone and try to figure out what it is. But the whole view thing here about Indian fabrics.
Yes, is this Judy?
You're on the phone, Scott.
Judy, you just tried calling someone. You dialed the wrong area code. You dialed Long Island.
hey,
Okay,
Scott,
thank
can you mute?
I just muted him.
Oh, good.
I love the beauty for us.
So we're at Oklahoma now. Again, what's great when you get a movie view of this, you can see some of the things actually moved. The little cattle in the stockyard went in and out of the processing plant. The only place where the cattle ever come out of the processing plant. Joey's Playhouse. I thought this was a really nice shot showing how large the U.S. pavilion was.
Taken from what vantage point?
Helicopter.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this was was our playhouse for many years. When you can get in.
Yep.
And have we determined none of those panels were saved?
No.
The blue and green. Yeah, that's sad. They're really pretty.
Yeah, especially lit up at night.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an escalator that is, I believe, in the center. Those are stairs. There's an escalator, and that's the escalator that we used to walk up into the mezzanine level.
Yeah, one of the four legs had an elevator in it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Looking out from the US. But
You
again,
know, go,
this
go
is
ahead.
restoring, but look how well people dressed. I mean, if you saw this today, you'd think you were the Dapper Days at Disneyland.
You know, I'm thinking about that mystery level on the New York Pavilion Tower, and I'm wondering if maybe there were structural reasons they didn't want to use it, because it definitely is of a different kind of construction than the main pillar.
Well, no, it's pretty much, again, it's a central poured concrete tower with the roof. The decks are actually hanging down from the roof. If we get another picture, we can look.
Yeah.
This was part of where they had the controversy about Palestine, and they had this mural up there, and there was all sorts of outrage, and the World's Fair Corporation being asked to make the Palestinians take it down, and no, they didn't want to get involved with religious, censoring and everything. So big controversy, and about 3 months later, I think people forgot about it and moved on. But when the fair first opened, it had a lot of people upset. And as it says, fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls. We go back to Jordan.
It looks gold in this picture. The other picture, it looked white.
Yeah, it really depends on how the light hit it, I think. And they also changed it. This does not say Jordan on this sign. So it was another thing that they added in and put the signage down it, because people probably didn't know what it was. Some of these pavilions, they actually repainted and did all sorts of things during the time of the fair. Like the changes during the fair page on my website is much larger than you would ever think. You have 4 years to get ready to build the event. And then when you get there, you go, oh crap, that didn't work. So amazing number of changes. Now you'll see in this particular shot, a lot of the flags are at half mast. That's because the Prime Minister at India died, and a lot of the other countries put their flags at half mast in tribute or sympathy. Greece. Almost looks like you could be visiting Epcot, right? And we have somebody making shoes, I believe, here.
Boy, that kid's dressed up, that little boy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
You can really tell things are different. When was the last time you saw somebody with that short hair? Every now and then, some of these shots, you see kids with buzz cuts, and things have changed.
Well, today that kid would have a buzz haircut with tattoos all over the place.
Yeah.
Hopefully not on his head.
Ireland. Inside of Ireland. They had these devices down here, which you would hold up to your ear and you could hear recordings of famous Irish poets and writers and that sort of thing. So that it looks sort of like a Dixie cup on a rope, but that's what they were.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out why that man had his head in a coffee cup.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were all coffee cups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what they look like, but no, you can see if we go in on it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
she's got it up to her ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she heard it was good coffee.
Here's the thing, the little retractable cord thing, so you pull it up. And she's got it up here listening, and he's bent over listening. And
It's Maxwell House not only tastes good, but it sounds good.
So they had signs up here explaining everybody you're listening to, and you again could come down and hear them all.
I imagine there aren't too many pictures of this, actually.
What's that?
I imagine there aren't too many pictures of this room.
No, I've got probably 4 or 5. They use these exact same things over at the Oklahoma Pavilion too, where you could come by and hold up a thing at the giant topographical panorama. They would describe all the wonders of Oklahoma to you. Part of India.
Was that the restaurant?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is one, I believe this is part of the wall at Ireland. I have to try to find it again, but I believe that's where it was. There's Berlin and the British Lion pub over to the side. And we can go see what they're advertising over here. You want to come over to Switzerland and see the real thing. So we have some travel posters for you here. You can see the Von Roll symbol back here for the Skyway.
Bill, did you ride the Skyway when you were?
Oh yeah, yeah. So again, you know, there's what's sad about this one is there's trash on the ground, and the grounds are generally kept up really, really well. I mean, despite their having problems with financing and everything, up the final couple of days, there was just no way anybody could keep up with the volume. But for the most part, they did pretty well. So you just figure maybe the guy that worked this area didn't come in that day or something. We could hop over to Spain. Protestant Orthodox. In the fair being demolished, this is one of the last things taken down. Anything that had a tower, they left up to the very end so that you could figure out if you were going to go and tear down a pavilion. And most of the pavilions were getting demolished. You'd look for signs that were visible. Billy Graham. Get to the next box.
The fifth dimension.
Yeah, man in the fifth dimension.
Not the singing group, I presume.
No.
So we have
playground singing Age of Aquarius.
We have a ever-present nun. She's got her assignment sheet down here, so she's got duly appointed rounds. And we see that Joey Vento is over there. I'm going to go get him.
Does she have a
And
ruler
look, she's
hidden under
carrying
that?
a
She's got a
ruler.
ruler.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
I make fun of the ever-present nuns. It's just my way of getting it back from my days at Catholic school.
Yeah. Hide your knuckles.
Oh man. I
Well, she was-
think I may have told the story about my younger brother, Jim. Our school got so crowded, we went to split sessions. So I would go in the morning and his class was in the afternoon. So I'd have to be at school really early, like 6:30 or something, but I'd be done at 12:30. And I was home one day and I was sitting there watching cartoons or doing something, minding my own business. And Jim came into the house and he just started beating the crap out of me. It was like, what the hell, what did I do? And he's yelling, "I'm not Billy Cotter, I'm not Billy Cotter." And finally my mother sorted it out. He had been at school and I was more the academic. Jim was more the sports guy. I mean, he actually got a sports scholarship at college, but he was there, and we had the same nun. And he asked us some question, and she didn't know the answer, and she asked him some other question later on. He didn't know the answer, and she kept saying, "Well, Billy Cotter knows the answer." At one point, he snapped back to her, "I'm not Billy Cotter," and out came the ruler. So he was very mad at me when he got home. So my mother actually had to talk to the nun and say, "Please stop comparing the two boys to each other because it's causing real problems." So the nun said, "I just can't believe they're related."
In the picture, is that like a Klondike bar? It looks like this frontier
over
guy
here.
is pouring chocolate over ice
Probably
cream.
an Eskimo bar.
Yeah, it's Eskimo bars, and they sold those
Eskimo bar.
over here to the side, over to the right-hand side.
Okay.
And
Bill, did you like double session?
Yeah, I liked it because I had the whole afternoon free. I mean, I
Yeah.
got up and we live fairly close to the school, so I got up and it was about a 10-minute walk. Went
Yeah,
there.
my
got out,
last 2 years of high school were double session. They tore down Santa Clara High School. There were 3 high schools. Santa Clara got torn down because it was an old brick structure and it wouldn't pass earthquake standards. So they came and I went in the morning. We had to be up like at 5 in the morning. You know, then we got out at noon, and there was like an hour off, and they stayed till like, I don't know, 6 or whatever.
Yeah, no, I liked it because I literally, I remember I would go home and get a thing of cookies. I'd sit down and start watching cartoons or the Three Stooges or something on TV. And they had all those great shows on in New York at the time. You'd have Officer Joe Bolton, and he would be showing Popeye cartoons. And he came out dressed as the New York City policeman. And then you had Joey Heatherton's father, the Merry Mailman, and he would go and have another thing of cartoons. And you saw the same cartoon 52 times over and over, but it was great. So sitting at home eating.
Jim said that you spent all your time watching Jeopardy.
Yeah.
So you could impress the nuns.
I was gonna say we had our own guys out here. One of them was Engineer Bill, and another one was Sheriff John. And they had the same thing. You had cartoons and different stuff like that.
We up in the Bay Area, we had Mayor Art, Captain Satellite, Marshall J, and Sir Sedley.
I remember Captain Satellite. I got to meet him in the McDonald's once.
We had
500.
we had Jack McCarthy. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah,
Captain Jack.
He was always the
Channel 5
master of ceremonies at the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yeah,
and we had Zachary, who showed horror films on Saturday night.
Did you have Cecil's Playhouse or Cecil's?
Mm-hmm.
We had back in New York. We had Claude Kirshner, and he would show I think it was Terry Toon cartoons or something. Well, we're going way off track, but they would be on like at he would end at something like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whatever, at night. And then the next thing that came on was the $1 Million Movie on Channel 9, OR. Scary the things you can remember. And all the $1 Million movies started with the music from Gone with the Wind, Towers theme.
His theme.
Yeah. So my brothers and I were really into things like they'd have Abbott and Costello and Meet the Mummy or something. And my parents would be sitting down the hall in the kitchen discussing the things of the day. We would be sitting there in the living room, and we would turn down the music at the very end. The guy Claude Kirshner would always come out and say, "Now it's time for all good little boys and girls to go to bed." My parents, like Pavlov's dogs, would send us off to bed. So we realized if we could turn it down before he opened his mouth, and we could until the $1 Million Movie music was over, my parents wouldn't realize. So they would come out and they'd say, like, "It's an hour late," and we go, "Oh, we're halfway through the movie, Mom. Can we please watch it?" Sometimes they would let us, but then on Saturdays they would run the same movie like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Bill, Soupy Sales.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, Soupy Sales was national though, wasn't he?
He started
out in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he started in New York and then he went national.
And then he got thrown off for saying, "Okay, boys and girls, go to your mommy's pocketbooks, your daddy's wallets, and send me $5.
Yep.
Yeah. Send me pictures of the president. Right.
And then there was Sonny Fox too.
Sonny Fox, Wonderama.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we need to do a program on these kid shows.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I think
Bozo
Carol
the
was
Clown.
actually in the audience of one of them out here, weren't you, Carol?
Well, that was a long time when I was little. There was a show called Dixie Showboat. And yeah, I was on the stage for that, but I don't remember anything about it. But I was trying to remember the name of the man who did the Popeye cartoons.
Bill Hatton.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
I think so.
Yeah,
he was.
I think you're right.
Tom Hatton.
Tom Hatton.
Tom
Yeah.
Hatton. He was
Yeah.
really good. I really liked the stuff he did.
Well, he was around. He used to do movies, introduce movies like on Saturday or Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, he said there was a 16mm projector next to him, and then say, "Okay, let's go watch this," and he would turn it on.
He would actually. I mean, he would do big Hollywood movies. That was the first time I ever saw. What's that movie? Marilyn Monroe, Betty Grable, Lauren Bacall. I had never seen, because before the movie starts, it was one of the first stereo movies. And they actually, before the credits, they have whoever made it, 20th Century Fox Studio Orchestra, just is on on stage being filmed playing some classical music. And it was just done to, show the advantages of stereo sound. And that was the first time I'd ever seen that. He showed the movie entirely without cuts in it.
Well, did
That's
any of you have Buffalo Bob?
Oh, yeah,
No.
that
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Howdy doody.
And
Yeah.
Howdy Doody? Yep.
Yep.
Real quick,
Yeah, well,
Tom Haddon, Carol and I actually saw him playing Daddy Warbucks in Annie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when it was out here at the Pantages, and yeah, he was everybody that ever met him, yeah, it's just great things to say. But I don't know if he ever ate at Colonel Morley's Louisiana Cafe here. So
Maybe he had a slice of pizza, because that's what it says there.
yeah. Is it something over to the side here about the great book? There was a religious exhibit, which I imagine probably didn't do really well. But this was not here for the early opening of the fair, was added in. But Colonel Morley's, I guess, was a small chain. They never quite overtook Colonel Sanders, but that was the whole thing. Was another chicken restaurant. And then this fellow here was at the Alaska Pavilion carving these totem poles, which are now on display at the Totem Pole Museum in Alaska. Over here, you could get your picture taken with a fake dog and a fake igloo. Over here, Alaska Gem Shop, they had all sorts of meteor pieces and things you could buy and take home. Yeah, you can see this, I think, is kind of interesting. If you are going to do a totem pole, you get your small little one to know what your big one's going to be. So you lay it all out and you have a way to decide the scale and the size and everything. So if you look down and see this one that's lying here, the hat or whatever in the top matches the one that it's lying on here. So it's his template, and on the other one over here is another small one. So
Bill, is that Totem Pole Museum in Anchorage, do you know? Or
I think it's Kits. I'm going to
Kits of
mispronounce it.
View or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's that one.
Yeah.
Bill, what does the guy's jacket say?
Let's see, something Alaska. Totem Carvers of Alaska.
Oh, there you go. Wow.
Right. It's a vest, so you can see the back of the vest, and here's the front of it. And again, here's the model that he's working on.
It's baby sealskin, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's dressed kind of like Sonny Bono.
Yep.
You could also come over here and you could buy all sorts of fur coats and fur-lined coats and everything. They were on sale there. And we hop over to Mr. Lincoln. Montana, the big sky country. And you can see the train cars in the background that the whole pavilion was built around. And I believe this is in India. It's a heavily jeweled carpet, which has thousands of pearls and other things in it. So again, like I said, when you see, I don't know if it shows, does it show up in the top that it says TIFF, TIF?
Yes.
Top of the screen. The TIFFs
Yeah.
are the raw scans.
yeah.
When you get the one that says JPEG, those are the ones I've done the restoring on. So this one I got a kick out of. Look at all the people, they're doing a square dance thing out here on the Texaco map. But if you look up here, I guess he's calling it, but nobody's paying any attention to him whatsoever. So, but the square dancers are out there having a great time. They had the rooms off to the side, so they had different exhibits, artwork, and they had a small restaurant and things in these side pavilions. But what a shame that the map was not preserved. You can see
Parts of it are still there, right? Little bits.
the bits and pieces that are left are buried under gravel to try to preserve it. But
Yeah,
you-
Bill, you had posted a picture up on the mezzanine level of two little baby fawns.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was interesting.
yeah. So everybody's always looking down at trying to find their house and everything, their town. My town was on Long Island, Baldwin, and it was not there in 1964. And I was really amazed that it was there in 65 because the town that did a big letter writing campaign that were just as good as Rockville Center. And they had everybody at the high school and the kids were down at the train station getting people to sign the petition coming in. And I was absolutely astonished that Texaco dug up the map, redid it, and put Baldwin in there for the 65 season. So sometimes crowds can be heard.
That's a strange
Spain.
name.
Back over to India, I believe. And get to the next box. Now we jump to May of 65. Looks like it came through the picture nicely.
I was going to say, that's interesting that somebody took a picture of that headshot, because I really wonder how many of the fairgoers passing through the pavilion, really stopped to study it.
Yeah.
They put it on the wall and say, "Oh yeah, that looks nice," but really, what is the percentage of people who are really going to stop and study it and even take a picture of it like that?
No, that's a good point.
That's interesting.
That's why I like to get these pictures, because again, this when Bill Young and I were doing our third book on the World's Fair, Bill said to me at one point, if I have to look at one more picture of the Unisphere from the New York State Towers, that's like a myself. Everybody took pictures of the same things. Particularly, we started to sound, we can tell you exactly where all the Kodak picture signs were, because everybody by law must take a picture there. So when you do see pictures like that, Baron, like you mentioned, of just that one shot, it's just, wow, that's something different. And that's what I get the kick out of buying all these things, and you find, just something different.
Well, yeah, like something like this. We've discussed it before, how expensive film and processing was back then.
Yep. And you only had, this is at the US Pavilion. Yeah, so you only had 12, 24, I don't even think that, I guess they did have some 36 exposure rolls at this time. But for the most part, you had to then carry all the film with you and then send it off to the drugstore and get it all back and everything. So you really needed to want to take a picture of something.
It's actually a good shot of the bust.
It is.
Yeah, the lighting
Very
came
sharp.
out nice on it.
Nice detail.
The Gas Pavilion.
What was that, in the Festival of Gas?
The Festival of Gas. So up here's the carousel that rotated around. But down back, they had a whole thing on how distribution lines worked. And obviously, this is just a mock-up, but they did it all in colors. Off to the side here, behind us would have been a gas turbine and the actual air conditioning plant for the pavilion that was driven by gas. So they're making a big thing about you burn gas to make your house colder.
What's the sign back there? Bach?
I'm sorry, Don.
Oh, I'm sorry. I talked over you. I just noticed a small sign back there. It says Bach or Book or something. Book, maybe? Anyway.
I was going to ask, were these particular shots, Bill, all grouped together in one box? I mean, they look like from a specific photographer who maybe took a little extra effort to shoot some of these things. They don't like random snapshots.
No, that's a good eye. I got most of these together in one group from one person. Yes.
Okay.
Very good eye.
That carousel thing in the Festival of Gas, did people ride on it or no?
You stood on it and it went around, but it moved very slowly. It was like, one revolution per, 10 minutes or something. And then they had displays. Each of these had a large caricature type animal, a polar bear explaining how this worked and something else explaining how something else worked. 1965, so we're at the Churchill Pavilion. And we're back at Denmark now. So this is a little playground that you could park your kids in. You just see the slide coming down here off to the side. But these are all things that the kids, you paid 50 cents an hour or something and go have a nice dinner and let the kids go play. And this, again, we showed in other ones where they introduced Legos and became a big hit.
It's amazing how well mid-60s Scandinavian design has held up.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Really, absolutely. The backside of Kodak. Back to India. Like I said, I just love the flowers because you go to some other fairs like New Orleans. If there was a piece of greenery in New Orleans, you were astonished. I mean, it was just concrete and asphalt. They really went out of their way, I think, for the gardens and stuff on this particular one.
I think this may have been the last fair that had that type of, nuns, of gardening.
Pretty much
of
so,
gardens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there were some others, you know, like Expo 86, Great World's Fair, but again, not any sort of greenery or, you know, that just didn't have the amount of space. So
Even
What
Expo
year-
67 didn't have this type of landscape.
yeah, it's
What
interesting.
year are these, Bill?
This is 65.
Gosh, that lawn looks very, I mean, when you had that other previous picture, the lawn looked almost like it was new.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it was like
immaculate.
pristine.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there it is. Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
we'll go back to it. Yeah, May of 65. It's
Okay.
interesting as I'm working in my upcoming 39 World's Fair talk, I was looking at a great map of 1938, showing what was going to be there. And as we've looked at other maps, you can see, you know, wow, they got really far along and that was never built. So there was a section there for the John Wanamaker department stores. And I said, I don't remember Wanamaker being at 39 World's Fair. No, if you look at the World's Fair when it opened, it was picnic grounds. You know? So, I mean, they have all this building, and then it's just giant empty green space between buildings. That's because they pulled that through at the last minute. It's also, when I was looking at the chart, you know, there were things, and you can go down these rabbit holes. There was a little chart of all the exhibitors who were in the amusement area, and one of them was labeled Popeye. And I said, I don't remember seeing any pictures of Popeye. No, it's going to be Popeye's Fun House. But Popeye's Funny Ship. And it went through all sorts of planning, and they finally canceled it. So it's just kind of fun, the things you see and learn. So New England, all these guys are very well dressed. I don't know what the hell they're all conferring for back here. A lot of people resting. That's another nice thing about the 64 fair. They had a lot of benches, a lot of places to sit down and relax that in other places you just don't necessarily see. So even like at Expo 67, that we're nowhere near the number of benches and everything. And you see all sorts of people sitting on walls or sticking their feet in the water or anything just for some place to sit down and you know, rest your feet. The New England Diner or the restaurant back there. Outside of Mexico. And again, it's nice that whoever our original photographer was decided that they would catch some of those things.
Well, not only that, think of the guy who made that piece of art.
Yeah.
I mean, when somebody made that,
Yeah,
or some.
I've tried out and try to figure where did it go. It said so many things. Was it sold at auction? Was it tossed in a dumpster? You know, sometimes things show up, other times they just don't.
Yeah.
The Masonic Center.
That's weird. It says everyone welcome on that sign.
Yeah.
I guess maybe some people might have figured it was only open for Masons.
Yeah, but isn't it a weird placement?
Yeah.
I mean, the entrance is over here off to the left, or you could go in the side door here. So just kind of a weird placement. I mean, the first time I first thought of that, I thought it was going to say keep off the plants or anything. And then you say, oh, everyone welcome. Mention on our talk, this statue or this, whatever you want to call this figure, has survived and is in the grounds of a Mason facility in the Midwest. And it's large enough it shows up on Google Earth views.
No, it's everyone welcome to step on the ground.
And George Washington and Masonic regalia.
Oh, Mason.
And this mentions the fellow's name down here. evidently he was very big in doing sculptures of George.
Yeah, didn't he do like rocket thrower, a couple of those?
Yeah, he did the rocket throw, but I think he was really well known for specializing in George Washington.
Oh, okay.
And inside, where you can find different masons around the world. This was their reading room that if you wanted to come in and learn anything more about, you could come in here, register and go off and, you know, have somebody come out and talk to you about it. So this was not part of the general tour, why you don't have a zillion people in here, but if you went to somebody who said you wanted to learn more, they would bring you in here and have a spot for you to sit.
Right. Thank you, dear. I'll share.
And the former The Pavilion, now Churchill. More people for Coca-Cola.
Quite
And
a
so
lineup.
you can just see, making out the sign here, that the water in this fountain and everything has been recycled. So in '65, there were all sorts of droughts, and there were basically any fountains in the city and everything, they were told to turn off the water or recycle it. You know, there was question whether or not they were actually recycling or just putting up signs, but one of our hostesses.
Yeah, some of the Manhattan buildings signs said that water was condensation from the air conditioning.
Oh, that's neat. So we're getting late in the year, the fall flowers are coming out. You don't see glasses like this anymore, do you? But they were big back then.
My mother wore those.
I think everybody's mother did.
Looks like something Randy Rainbow would wear.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah. His would be pink though.
Yes.
Yeah, with lots of diamonds.
Yeah.
Who's Randy Rainbow?
Oh, you got to
You
look
don't
him
know
up. He's
Randy
funny.
Rainbow?
Oh, hilarious.
Randy Rainbow is he does these incredible videos, which he says he does from his own apartment. And he'll have like 14 different characters in them that he does them all, and he dresses up in costume and everything. He's quite gay. He's funny as hell, and he does he's very much anti Donald Trump or anything in Washington. So he'll do these whole things, you know, like he'll do a press conference. Well, he'll take real footage out of a press conference and ask a question, and the answer makes absolutely no sense or whatever. But he's incredibly talented. We were just talking at dinner last night about different things. I had got him to record a video for Carol after she had her open heart surgery, and so I surprised her with, you know, "Hi Carol, I understand you had open heart surgery, and I hope you're recovering and doing well and everything." So he's very, very, very funny guy.
You didn't mention for those who don't know him, how many songs he has written new lyrics for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very cleverly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of
Very
times they're Broadway show tunes that
Yes.
he's written new lyrics for. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's like a Weird Al.
Yeah, much more talented than Weird Al. So go to YouTube, search for Randy Rainbow, and don't plan on having anything to do for the next 24 hours.
I saw him
back
perform in
home,
Austin before
Bill.
we moved here.
Did you lock the doors for 3.5 days?
Yeah, no, he is really good, and he does like his own costumes and makeup and the video.
And that's his real name.
Yeah,
Oh, is it really? Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
He was
And he's
born.
actually a
Rainbow.
classically trained vocalist too. He's
Yes.
amazing.
Bill. Oh, Bill. Can you go back one, Bill? Yeah, I like the tribal dress and that the guy is wearing a watch.
yes,
Watch,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I meant to mention that. Yeah,
He
It's-
probably
it's like-
got it at the Seiko exhibit next door.
Yeah.
well, it's like there's the scene in the movie Spartacus, and you can see one of the Roman warriors is wearing a watch. You know, so yeah. But I guess, you know, to this guy's defense, it's like, how much longer do I have to stand here doing this crap?
Actually, he's from Wakanda, and they used to make watches. They were famous for their
Yeah.
watches and all sorts of technology that was way ahead of time. So
That's it. But again, not to beat a dead horse, but I will. The flowers are just great. We're getting right now to the end of the fair. They know they're going to be losing millions of dollars, and they still just kept putting on it. I thought a real quality act up until the very, very end of this. These are the flowers, of course, that all the housewives came and ripped out of the ground and took home in the final days of the fair.
I wonder if some of the flowers were donated by, nurseries or, major seed.
No, they apparently bought them, and they said that they were going to honor their commitment, because a lot of these flowers you have to start. Like Carol and I found out when we were doing the Rose Parade, you have to order your flowers months in advance. You just don't go to some guy and say, I need, 2,700 chrysanthemums. So they decided they were going to keep the thing, and the plan was they were going to donate them all to hospitals, nursing homes, and everything, and then that would let them take a tremendous tax write-off. So they said they were paying very, very little for the flowers because they were all going to be donated. But then the people stole them, so they couldn't donate them, so that didn't help. A lot of these lights ended up at the Orange County Fairgrounds up in New York. They're since gone, but when I went back on a trip a number of years ago, they were still on the grounds, the Astral Fountain lights. And we go into the Indian Pavilion gift shop here. There's a thing that I get a real kick out of here. Back before there was a ban on ivory. So, again, I'm not sure what year exactly the United States made importing ivory a crime, but back at this point in time, you could see all these little carved elephants and gazelles and all sorts of other things that were for sale. So again, things
Same with Scrimshaw.
that you date yourself with, importing ivory. Okay, May of '65, the Belgian Village is open, finished, built, ready to go.
Waffle time.
I was wondering why that gift shop was so crowded, but as I looked closer, they're all standing around watching somebody carve, I believe.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looked like. I mean, it's awful crowded for but
And we're going through the Vatican. The Pope's Tiara. This is actually pretty good for a 1965 interior shot. Again, I'll work on it to try to bring out some of the darkness, things in the darkness. But considering the light, excuse me, light sensitivity of film for '65, the guy did a good job.
Wonder what the highest ASA film available was at that time for amateurs. Was it Ektachrome 160 maybe?
Maybe. I think most of it was still, I think a lot of people were still shooting Ektachrome 25 and 64 and stuff like that.
Right, because of the grain structure.
I was using Tri-X at 400.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, black and white. Yeah.
my dog is yelling at somebody outside.
Mailman.
Hard to believe this is Queens, New York, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is the stained glass window inside the Protestant Orthodox Center, which is inside a church, which is on Chatsworth Boulevard in Granada Hills. This is the one I mentioned. The church, when I was doing the third book on the World's Fair, timing was perfect. Got an email from a church that said, we have a stained glass window which is built for the '64 World's Fair, and we're trying to restore it. Do you have any pictures of it? And I said, oh, sure, yeah, okay, let me find it. And where's your church? And I said, Granada Hills. And I said, oh my God, I'm in Granada Hills. And 15 minutes later, I was down there and they were letting me take pictures of it for the book. Basically, the church was built in 1964 and they left this entire window. They paid for the window, the church, and they left a hole in the wall of the building that in 1965, they crated up the window and they sent it back to them. they had it there for a number of years, and the California sun was loosening all the joints of the welding, the lead on it.
Right.
They put a giant plastic thing over the back end of it to cut down the amount of light that was hitting it, which worked. The only thing was, I moved here in 1986, and in 1986, all you'd see as you drive down the street was a giant black square on the wall of this church. So I had no idea that when you went in, this is the window that's in there, and you look at it. The church has since been sold since I did the book, and the new people have what you call it. They put money into restoring it. I don't remember how much it shows up here on the picture here. Let's see if we can zoom in on it a little bit. But yeah, I was telling you that this the Stained Glass Association of America built this church thing, and the plaque here would tell you the name of the church out here in Granada Hills that it was done for. I was absolutely awed. I mean, I let them use the picture for their fundraising and put in their books, and then if you go there, they have a little flyer they give you about it. But you know, that's to me was absolutely astonishing that a piece of the World's Fair that big was 4 miles from my house and had been there for the last 40 years, and I hadn't known it. So funny.
You know, you have another photograph of this in your archive somewhere.
Yes.
You gave it to us maybe 2 years ago. This came up about 2 years ago, I remember.
Yeah, it shows in what you call it, one of the commercial pictures of the fair. From the outside, you can see through the front door. It's lit up behind, you know, looking from the outside.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you showed it on one of your presentations about 2 years ago.
Probably did, because this is one that I redid. You can sell it to JPEG, so I probably threw it in some other presentation about this particular pavilion.
Yeah, no, I remember it from then.
Right. That Parable is the film that did all the controversy where they portrayed Christ as a circus clown. So, you know, come on in and see it. And again, this is the same pavilion. And we're over at Oklahoma, looking towards the U.S. Back to the Belgian village. She's got the mirror here, so the lady can see how wonderful the hat's going to look on her. And I got a cool summer job. I got to wear a beret. Beret's really cool.
I wonder what the scintillating drink was.
It was a what you call it, a wine bar. It was sort of like sangria. And they had what you call it. They had a red wine and a white one that you could go and get a shot of it. I think it was like 25 cents. I've got other pictures of this whole operation. Minnesota, 1965. We've got the long boat over here. No longer any signs for come and take catch your trout in the stream or you know, go for the canoe ride. So things that they changed. In Wisconsin, over to the left, hey, it's Tad's Steakhouse. All of a sudden I went Tad's Steak. We're at Wisconsin looking over towards New York. Again, this is the so-called mystery level, as I mentioned. That won't really show up too much on this, but you have these concrete towers and these pillars, these things that radiate out are coming anchored to the tower, and the cables here hold up the floors. So if one of these cables were to snap or multiple snap, the floor could come down. So this level is built on the exact same principle as this level here. So like I said, I just don't know. Somebody said they thought it was an elevator capacity issue, but you just are not going to see. I'll zoom in here and hopefully I won't prove myself wrong. Nope, nobody looking over the edge.
So was there only one elevator that serviced it, or was there two?
There were two. You can see the track for one here and the one on the other side. So it would go up.
Looks like the one on the other side, though, wouldn't service that level, would it?
No, it would just be the one.
I would go with the idea that the elevators, if you were on that level and every time the elevator door opened, the car was full of people coming down from the main floor and you couldn't get out, that if they had enough complaints to say, let's just shut it down because, you know, we've got enough people going up to the top level. We don't need this level.
That's what somebody surmised a number of years ago, and it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I still think this is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. I mean, Churchill's face looks really good, but the rest of them remind me of the old Batman villain, Clayman, or whatever,
Clayface.
you know.
Vincent Clayface.
Clayface, yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
It's modern art, Bill.
No. I love this one. I thought this came out really nice with the colors, the flags, and everything.
Yes.
And I just really like the ladies all over here.
Yeah.
Again, Aunt B, they're all figuring out, you know, where did you say the show was with the bare-chested men?
White hat. Something
Yeah.
else.
But she's wearing a mink stole. You see that?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, mink stole. Why would you wear that out to something like a World Fair?
I wonder if she
Oh,
rode the
Just
subway.
you got dressed your best you could to go
Yeah.
to the fair.
Yeah,
But I wonder
yeah.
if she wore that on the subway to get out there.
probably. Over here, he's wearing his straw hat.
My mother wore gloves just to go to the movies.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a nice day. And then you have people more modern dressed or whatever.
Yeah, my grandmother would say those ladies are underdressed because they didn't have gloves and their hats didn't have a lacy veil in front of their face.
Right.
Olmec. I see this, I keep thinking of Legends of the Hidden Temple on Nickelodeon. Yeah, anybody ever watch that show, Olmec, the Legend of the Hidden Temple? They had this trivia. It was a whole game show where kids had to climb up on things and do all these odds and ends. But then Olmec, the giant head, would open up and ask you things, and the kids would try to answer the question. Well, my kids were absolute. They just loved the show, and we went and took a tour of Nickelodeon Studios, and in Florida where it was done. And a friend of mine worked there, and we got to go backstage. And Olmec's mouth open with somebody taking a 2x4 and just going up and down, and the kids were just so disappointed. It was like the magic of show business was ruined to them. That this guy, up and down with the thing. So I got to go back and have the kids stand in front and said, "Olmec's really glad you came to visit." They thought that was great. Off to Korea.
Good job, bud.
Back over to Denmark.
Well, that lady at the table didn't get the best shot there.
Yeah.
And I thought those were pigeons up there, but they're lights.
Yeah, I thought they were pigeons too. The way they're shaped, it looked like white and dark pigeons. I thought exactly the same thing when I looked at it.
I thought they were ice cream cones.
Our 1939 World's Fair flagpole up there. We got time for a couple more here.
Is that flagpole still on the grounds?
Yeah, still there. They
With the
moved it
same-
between 39 and 64. They moved, so they're on either side of the pool of industry, but they're still there today.
And with the same sculpture on top?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're huge, Randy. They're gigantic.
Yeah, I was at the grounds. It was back in like 88 or so. Yeah.
Yeah, people always go online about the Nazi eagles that were at the World's Fair, and no, they were not Nazis. They were Bauhaus style or something called eagles. But LaGuardia had said there was no way Adolf Hitler was going to participate in his World's Fair. So just the style of it, people keep making this urban legend that these are Nazis, things. No, that they're not. It was a style that they used to the American eagle back at that time.
It's amazing how those things get started because the designer's initials on the Kennedy half, people swore were the hammer and sickle.
Yeah.
Well, it's like there's some lampposts that were in Glendale, Bill, for years, had been put in the 30s or something, that had the Indian version of
Yeah.
the swastika on it.
Yeah.
And everybody said, we've got to take those down because those are German swastikas. It's like, no, it isn't. It's tilted. It's different.
Yeah,
Or
they're
it's
going in the
flat,
opposite direction.
Well, I think it's the difference between a 45-degree angle on it, isn't it?
Okay.
One,
Yeah.
No, 90.
90.
Yeah, one's,
If you rotate it 90 degrees, it's going to be the same symbol.
Yeah, so
no,
45.
if you look at it, it's reversed.
Yeah, so I'm saying that they have it instead of going over and down, it's the mirror image.
well, yeah, there is a reverse, but I thought there was also a tilt, a 45-degree
Could be.
tilt difference
Right.
between
Yeah,
them.
you're right. There is. And it's jarring no matter what it is. It's still jarring. 'cause
Yeah.
it's, you know,
Yeah.
what we associate it with.
Yeah, when
Absolutely.
we did the TV show V, they came up with the armbands for the visitors. You know, it was
Oh,
very
yes.
much the whole Nazi tie in there, and people that was jarring too in a different way. So off to Japan. Yeah, Japan. Illinois. I still hate the lettering on this. Why they had to break it up in mid-word on these things.
It looks like it looks like it's Italian.
Yeah,
But
the
Yeah.
president.
Preservation.
Nice shot inside.
It is a nice shot.
Outside of Greece. This about I absolutely astonished that this one made it into the World's Fair.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nudity with male genitals. I mean, considering what's his name? Moses was
Moses.
so straight-laced about anything. I'm absolutely astonished that this one got in and he didn't make them put a loincloth or cover the guy up. So yeah, this is about the only nudity at the fair.
Even this, I'm surprised this got in.
Yep. Whoops. So look how nicely everybody's dressed. Oh, anybody ever watch America's Got Talent?
a couple times.
Eh-eh.
Yeah, I always get a kick. You know, we haven't watched it lately, but Heidi Klum, when she wants to go see something, she doesn't want to put her glasses on. She puts her hands up, to
Yeah.
shade the eyes to see better. And I don't know if this is a young Heidi Klum visiting the World's Fair, but
Bill, do you know if that mural in the back is a mosaic or just painted, or
I believe it was just painted.
it's very attractive, whatever.
Yep.
they did, yeah.
Wow.
Very nice.
Spanish?
I believe this is at the the Central American Panama Pavilion. Might be
Yeah.
Spain. Again, flags at half mast. Boy, how you train for that job? I guess you start 4 feet off.
Ugh.
I just know I'd be dizzy as heck when I got to the bottom.
Yeah, me too.
Loved all the flags.
You can almost hear the wind blowing through them.
Can't you, Joey? Yeah, you
It's a
just
mapping of the fabric.
flapping along.
It's
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Yeah, I always felt bad that they took down all the flagpoles and everything, and didn't do it. Of course, somebody would cut them down now in scrap metal. I don't know if somebody sees if it shows up in this sign. They had little signs on them. I don't see any here that would tell you what flag it was. A little marker. And somebody's trying to sell one of them for some incredible amount of money on eBay, like $2,700 for a little thing that says Ethiopia. It's like it came from the World's Fair. Well, so what?
This is a reminder. Click
Computer.
notifications.
Well, Bill, weren't some of the flags just they weren't from a specific nation, they were just
Yeah, on this one they all were. This is the Court of Nations. On the other side is the Court of States. But the ones that were going on the main entrance coming in from the the subway or the bridges that went over the parkway, they were just geometric shapes.
Okay.
They did introduce a couple of United Nations flags because they were called the Bridge of the United Nations North and South. They did stick some United Nations flags, but the rest of them were just purely weird geometric shapes and designs. But it really worked. You came in off the subway and there was this sea of color in front of you.
That's what I find is so different when you go to the park. It's just the grounds are so undramatic today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you walk across those bridges, you can look down and see where the bolt holes were, where the
Yep.
flag poles were originally put in.
Yep. Yep.
Carrie and I have a flagpole from the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics, and I just love it. It's aluminum.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's got the stamp, in the base. It's like the base weighs 2.5 tons,
Wow.
and it's got the Olympic rings in Salt Lake City.
That's neat.
It's
Picture
super cool.
spot.
Yep.
Yep.
Kodak picture spot.
Mandatory. Must take a picture. That's why we just saw the entrance to the Korea Pavilion a moment ago.
No, it's just Korea, not North or South Korea.
Nope. There was no mainland China. There was just the Republic of China.
No visitors this week, Don?
Pardon?
Your trail cams didn't pick up anyone?
Oh, they've been actually very active. I just haven't put them on my background.
All right.
A
Just
ton.
wondering.
Billy Graham in Austria.
Japanese.
All right, well, here we are from Minnesota.
Yay!
I mean, you want to have, let's go canoeing in a traffic jam.
A canoe flume. That's a bizarre concept.
Were they on a
Gowanus
cable?
No,
Canal.
they
I can
just
row
had
a boat,
water.
canoe.
They had water pushing through it, just like they do for the boats for Pirates of the Caribbean, anything. They had water jets and it
Yeah.
just pushed around. And the idea here was you would theoretically paddle along. But they were made so that you cannot get the canoe sideways or going across. But these guys are doing a pretty good job. And I did look up, Aluma canoes were still being made a number of years ago.
Hmm.
You can date this to 64 because Indonesia's open. All this was done over in Indonesia and brought back here to the US, and they had Indonesian craftsmen come and reassemble it here.
Do you have many pictures of the interior? Because the exterior was so impressive.
I got about a dozen or so. Some really nice one of a woman doing batik, I think it's called, cloth dyeing, and yeah, about a dozen of the interior.
Bill, did those reliefs go back to Indonesia or were they destroyed?
Yes. Yeah, no, when even though they did not participate in the 1965 season, the Indonesian government honored all their commitments to take the pavilion apart, and they shipped it back to Indonesia. There was talk about rebuilding it, but I don't think it was ever put back together. So I don't know where those individual reliefs went, but they were dismantled and shipped as opposed to demolished. And here again, the flag, I think there's a sign picture coming up explaining it. Yeah, here. So like I said, the Prime Minister
Yeah,
died, a number of the other pavilions put their flags at half-mast in his honor. And they were closed for 2 to 3 days while they did, honor him. A bunch of the people that ran the pavilion, the executives went back to India for the funeral.
You remember the fad of Nehru jackets that
Yes, very
Yeah,
popular.
I never bought one.
No,
my
Thank-
parents bought one for me, but I don't think I
Alright.
ever wore it.
my buddy Bob got one and I think wore it once, and then
Yeah.
yeah, I think he got tired of the reaction. So, but I do have a picture of him. I got to torment him with that
Yeah.
Definitely.
outside of India.
Cool.
Let me see where we are here. 1 second.
It'd be fun to have some of those discs from that tower.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing you wonder if anybody has them like hanging in their backyard and not realizing what they have. Now, prints are a lot sometimes harder to restore because they fade a lot more. So these are have not been done. But again, I get a kick out of seeing some of the things that are in there. This particular one, I think I said was August 65. Let me just verify. Yeah. So during the fair time, you know, you had the Ford Magic Skyway and stuff. All of a sudden, some guy popped up with a ice cream cart here at the thing. Not there for most of the pictures. I don't know when they came in or not, but you figure this guy probably, what a location. If you wanted to sell ice cream or something, just think about, you know, you're down here and you got your ice cream bars, and how many people would go by in a day, and you know, how could you not make money selling ice cream at a spot like that? Now, of course, what he might have to pay for rent of his spot, who knows, but just got to.
Is that a nun standing in line?
Oh, let's see. I didn't notice.
Right behind the kid.
Yeah.
It's like it.
The boy.
Dead center.
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there, yeah.
Looks that one. Could be.
None at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Underground house?
No, the Formica house.
Oh.
Again, I'll fix this.
exciting.
It's all exposed, but you can see here, it's hard to see the Formica symbol here. American Cyanamide Corporation presents the World's Fair house. So everything in the house is going to be made out of plastic.
Including the exterior?
Yeah, yeah. Hello drivers, you can see giant crowd. It was hot, you know. When we had the very first thing did any of you other guys go to what we called Saturday in the Park back in the early 2000s? Bill Young and a number of other guys put together a thing to go celebrate the World's Fair, and we actually held it at the World's Fair Motor Inn back here, which is still the same name of this hotel. It was built for the fair. But we put together a thing that a bunch of exhibits and movies and slideshows and that. And then we went off and walked the fairgrounds in one of the most torrential rainstorms It was miserable. But we had about 100 World's Fair geeks doing it, and that's where I first met Bill, and then we ended up later collaborating on the books together.
Boy, the crowds were massive in that last shot.
Oh, because there's no shade, you know. I mean, it was hotter than hell on some of these days, and to sit out there and have, you know, the gas and exhaust of the cars. People living out here were probably so damn glad when the World's Fair ended that they didn't have to hear this anymore.
Plus, then we've talked about
all of 7
how
people
some
in
of
this
these.
shot.
Why would you pay to watch this at a World's Fair?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
because it was at most county fairs or things
Yeah,
like that.
I've done it at Santa Clara County Fair. We used to go watch Demolition Derby all the time. We loved it.
Yeah, we had it at Freeport, Long Island had a racetrack, and they would do these things and demolition derbies and that. So, but I do have some pictures with some good sized crowds in it. But I think pretty much early in the day, early in the season.
Walt Disney World had that stunt car show that was always packed.
Yeah.
You remind me of when I was a kid, there were demolition derbies on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we love those. Yeah.
Well, we have the demolition derby. It's called the LA Freeway. I went to a hell of an accident yesterday, all because somebody just had to get through a red light. No, you're not getting to where you were going. You're going to the hospital instead. It's amazing to me. Now you can see they had a pretty good sized crowd out here for the water ski show. So this, again, this was August of 65. We're going to go to May 31st, 65 to be very precise. Somehow I have a view of The Shining just popped into my mind.
Hello, Bill. Come play with us.
Yeah.
Great rum.
much more impressive at night when it cascaded in different colors.
Are these, do you know if these are like 127 or 126?
126, yeah, Instamatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like this one's not restored. This one, I thought it was a nice shot. I restored it so you can see you can bring a lot of the color back and get it more going. If we zoom in down below, you can start seeing Chrysler corporations are sold in 132 countries around the world. Simca, I don't know, are Simca cars still around?
I know.
People on walking the perimeter road, one way to get from point A to B
Yes.
without going through the crowd. But
One
they-
car on that road.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, one car on the.
GCP, oh my God.
I know. I think that's the LIA. I think.
No, I don't think so.
this is Belgian Village. This would be, yes, this would be the Long Island Expressway.
Would they?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but still, one
Yeah.
car.
Yeah. One car.
All right. When
That
one
happens
car
at
is
3:45 in the morning.
What kind
Early
of car is it?
congestion pricing.
I have to ask. I'll have to ask Brock what car that is.
I knew somebody was gonna do that. I think it's either a Pontiac or an Oldsmobile.
Yeah.
It's a General Motors car for sure, but
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with everyone. I just, a lot of my knew as. a
and it's
kid.
blurry.
It
Yeah.
is a little blurry to see the detail.
And did
And there's
anybody know what's special about this over here, this gate, but near all the dumpsters?
Oh,
No.
you told us one time.
Called the crash gate. And that was so they could get emergency vehicles in and out real quickly. And that's how they brought the Pope into the World's Fair.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah. So they had a whole special thing of getting him in the crash gate because again, this was right next door to the Vatican. So they could bring him in here, drive him through, take him over, get him in, get him out, and off he went. So yeah, that was purposely left there as an emergency vehicle. They were planning on the worst case scenario for major fires or riots or anything else. That was one of the very few ways to get emergency vehicles into the fair. I get hear Billy Young screaming right now.
so yeah, these are 65, correct?
Right,
Yeah, I guess you saw the red orange pylon for the
right.
highway. Yeah.
Gunsmoke set at Hollywood, USA. And I think there's one more set of prints, then we'll stop. Oh, hang on a second. May 64 coming up. So back to the white pylons.
Nice.
Everybody's so well dressed.
I see Jane Parker's sign back there.
Yeah, yep. Oh, you're not supposed to look at that.
Really?
But no blue jeans. Everybody's wearing, different. Well, maybe they're white jeans or something here, but you just don't see any jeans or anything had made their way yet. Over here, a van, the New York Police Department, New York World's Fair Police Department. So if they had any big issues, they could throw people. That was their version of a paddy wagon.
No, they were Pinkerton, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they were Pinkertons, but they also hired a lot of off-duty police officers.
You said that floor is hung by those cables?
Yep. Yep. If you go up here, basically these pillars come out and they're anchored, and you can see every one of the pillars a steel wire coming down. So these are all they move a little. So there's little rubber shock absorbers, well, actually big rubber shock absorbers because these things would move a bit in the wind, which was a little unsettling if you were up there, and maybe Joey can remember on a windy
Yeah.
day, things move a bit. And you're first up there and it's like, oh, okay, it's moving. Is it going to fall down? But yeah, they're all hung up here and then they hang and you can see the same things down here.
So
Yeah,
they're not structurally pinned to the column. They just hang off of those beams,
Yep.
those cantilevered beams.
Yeah, and the first thing you notice when I went up there is you can hear the iron groaning
Yeah.
back and forth.
Really?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually have a
this-
set of the blueprints
Which, you
on here.
know-
I'll have to share at one point, but they show how these things are all done and anchored up there.
The thought that goes through my mind is, well, I sure hope the engineers designed it right, because, there have been some really terrible accidents from cables suspended, walkways collapsing.
Yeah, how about that whole radio telescope in Puerto Rico?
Well, that was age, but I mean, this is not. I mean, it's not structurally impossible by no means.
No, I'm
Obviously,
just saying age today.
it's done.
Well,
This
that was-
same wire is still there today, 60 years later. So you just hope they buy a good quality steel.
Yeah, but there was no
Yeah,
maintenance being done. That's why it collapsed.
All right.
Then you
Not
have
many
the
cars there in Grand
bridge.
Central.
Bill, did you ever go over the Whitestone Bridge and feel it sway?
Yep.
That was
Well,
scary.
On the Whitestone Bridge, there was actually an interesting thing they did. They put a set of barriers on there to strengthen it, to keep it from swaying so much. And they found out that the barriers were causing more of a problem, so they took them back down. But yeah, that does move interestingly.
Then they had the sister bridge in Washington State.
Oh,
that
the Tacoma
collapsed.
Narrows?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was the
They
same
almost
exact
inverted.
bridge.
That's very sad footage when you see it. If you know the story, the guy that's running away from the car on the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, he left his dog in there,
Yeah.
Aw.
Really?
and
You didn't have to tell us.
he couldn't grab the dog because the dog kept fighting him, and he had to run. And unfortunately, they didn't make it.
Shame.
Aw.
They
Hey,
need
Bill,
to get-
before you let go, could you share the screen with me for a second? I got something I want to show you guys.
Yeah, hang on just one second. I'll come back to the chat in a second. So let's see, Don here.
I'm sorry, I thought you were.
No,
already
it's okay. It's just looking to see how I can make you the co-host here. The little menu is not popping up. Let me close the chat here. Oh, here, Don Lancaster. Make co-host.
Host, there we go. So share. Let me see. So I want that one there. Okay. We were talking about the Indian. Can you guys see this?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, there it
Yeah.
is.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the original Boland's Travel Center. It's located in Grants, New Mexico. And I took these pictures in 2019. It's gone now. It collapsed
Oh.
on itself. But the reason I went yow is there, if you look to the right of the B or left of the B,
Yeah.
yeah.
there he is. That's the original running Indian.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you
And he
can see
became a
it.
nationwide trademark for a whole chain of these stores.
Right.
And so that's on the Boland Travels I got here. I got a few pictures of the same.
So was this the same sort of idea, like the Fred Harvey that ran they were railroad stops, weren't they? Where people could get buy stuff and
Yeah, they were basically gift shops.
yeah.
So I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out how I can move to my next slide. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's going to
maybe-
let me do it.
yeah.
So I've
Souvenir
got a
shops.
bunch of pictures,
Yeah.
but basically this is what I wanted to show you. Let's see if I can get one more up, but I don't want to take the rest of the time here doing it.
And Don, it collapsed on itself.
Yeah, basically, if you look over here to the left, you'll see that the
Yeah.
roof is already giving in. That's the
Yeah.
death knell in New Mexico. And it wasn't maintained. The first lady who owned it tried to get somebody to buy it, and they didn't. And yeah, it was collapsed upon itself, and you can see the graffiti. And so by the time I got to photograph it, it was, it was on its last legs.
You were lucky to get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was. Well, actually, I jumped a fence and I walked the whole thing, and I'm trying to get out so I can. Yeah, let me try. Advanced sharing options. Now, I don't want to take too much time trying to figure this out. Okay, hold on. Here we go. So if I go to, that's where I am. Application windows, screen 1. It won't let me move from slide to slide. So I want to. But I have a bunch of pictures all around this thing. Is some beautiful artwork that they painted. Hand painted. You can see one in front there, the Native American. You see a hoop dancer here, and another one. I'll zoom in a bit. These are just two of the things, just gorgeous hand painting all around it. And I got other pictures, but I can't figure out how to show them to you right now, unfortunately. Hold on, let me see if no, I don't want to take up too much of our time, but it was the original Boland's Travel Center, and he built, there are still some, the thing in Arizona is the Boland's Travel Center.
Wow.
And so there's still some left. But yeah, this Indian logo, that was the very first time right there. And yeah.
Don, you should isolate that the painting and frame it and put it in a frame.
Yeah, hold on. Can you see what I'm checking? Can you see this?
Yeah.
You can see the file. Let me try to see if I can get it that way. I gotta go back and change to video, chat, share. So I'm going to change it to, yeah, Boland's File Explorer. This will probably fix the problem. So now you should be seeing my File Explorer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you can see the Indian better. Can you see him?
Oh, it's
Just double
very
click on it.
Small.
Double click on it.
Yeah, it's a thumbnail.
No, but now you got to go back to your share.
Share and do it. Yeah, it's going to be tricky, but I can pull him up. Okay, so this is a closer shot of the Indian there.
Yeah, but okay, now we can.
Yeah.
That's nice, Don.
That's
yeah,
nice.
And if we go and look, I'll pull a couple more up and then I'll let you go. I like this particular one here. So I'll do the share thing again.
Can you do the left or right arrow keys so they move?
It's not letting me, unfortunately. Okay, well, I know it's got to go wrong. I know it's going wrong. 1 second. I should be able to do it now. Okay, so let me go back. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, so there's the travel center. There's the Indian.
No, we're still seeing the same image.
Okay, hold on. I'll get it there.
Brock had the same issue when we were doing something on Thursday. So
yeah,
I think they may have updated something.
I think I know why. 1 second, but I'll stop if I don't pull it off this time.
You should do another show for us, Don, on all this.
I did actually. This was one of my Route 66 show. If you go back to my second Route 66 show, you'll find it there.
You should go backwards, reverse back to.
Yeah, I use something else to it, but I will. Oh, I'm screen sharing.
We're seeing the first shot again.
Yeah.
God, I bet there's a lot of rattlesnakes that lived in there at that time.
I actually avoided them like the plague, but they were there. Yes. So okay, well, some other time, yeah. When the screen sharing has stopped as the sharing window is closed, so it just shut me down. So I wanted to see that more than anything. I can show you the other paintings later sometime, but that little bit of history there, and it's been lost forever, unfortunately. I visited that place as a child, so I remember going in, and that's why I wanted Bill to send me the Boland Indian at the World's Fair, because I have contacts to the World's Fair group, to the people who run Boland's.
Yeah, I'll get that.
I think they'd be interested in seeing it, and I could send them both pictures as a juxtaposition.
Great.
So,
well,
anyway, thanks for taking the time to see that. I appreciate it.
No problem. Hope people saw a few different views. Like I said, we did have to look at the Unisphere from the New York State Pavilion. It's mandatory, but hopefully we got a few other views in that make it of interest. Next week, I hope to have some restored movies. And 2 weeks from now, Brock is going to take us on a tour of the United States postage stamps of World's Fairs, expositions, and the such things. So he's got some pretty neat little factoids and stuff. We ran through the presentation on Thursday. I think folks will enjoy that.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoy it. It was fun putting it together.
As a teaser, what was the first stamp issued for what exposition?
Well, it was two things. It was the first commemorative stamp ever, or stamps ever produced by the U.S. Postal Service or department at that time. And it was for the Columbian Exposition, and it was actually a series of 16 stamps
Right.
that were all the stamps for that. And for the first 9 years of the post office putting out commemorative stamps, they were all associated with expositions and other world expositions and some national things, smaller ones, but they were still amazingly big. That went on, and then it started expanding into other things. But I take it through all the history of all the stamps that have been issued.
Yeah, the first commemorative coin for the U.S. was the Columbian Exposition also, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
$50, and they did an Isabella quarter.
Yeah, when I was looking at the Brock's presentation, I was looking behind me at the albums of my stamp collection thinking, oh no, Bill, don't go back down that rabbit hole. It's too much. So
well, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll move my camera. Behind me there to those 6 books there in that case laying on their side, the big green books. Yeah. That's my collection so far. What's amazing about it is the top one on, as you look at it, I'm not sure if I've reversed my screen or not, but anyway, one of the top ones is the first. It goes all the way through 1990. What is it? Somewhere in the 80s or 90s, from the beginning of stamps are all in that one, and then the next 5 are from that point on. They've been putting out so many stamps and different variations and stuff like that. It's just, it's amazing how quickly these books have filled up.
Yeah, I gave up on it a number of years ago. I just couldn't keep up because I was collecting, besides stamps, I was also doing first aid covers, and boy, they take up a lot of room.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, that does.
Yeah.
My wife was into that. Oh.
Brock, do you still collect?
Oh yeah, I'm still very actively collecting. Buy current stamps. I just bought a couple this week. They put one out on Indian powwows, and some I think Dahlias was the flower stamp that just came out.
Yeah, I used to be able to keep track of what was coming out. I collected for a little bit in the early 60s. I was a kid, but I used to kind of keep up what was coming out. I can't do it anymore. There's just
Lynn Stamp News. I mean, I had a subscription to that for years, and I finally said, I got to stop. I got to stop. It's cold turkey. I just got to stop doing this. So,
but Bill, you and I had to start to get our merit badge.
Yeah, I think that was the first merit badge I got. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was never in the Boy Scouts. I just collected because I like doing it.
Yeah.
Before we go, we need to take up a GoFundMe for Tom. I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but Tom is in urgent need of money to buy a $1,700 record album.
Did you see that? Holy crap.
And I'm sorry, Tom. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I'll post it, but I just got a holy grail that I've been trying to get for about 30 years. It's a Haunted Mansion record that, you've probably all seen. Well, they issued it in different colored labels. So, purple, red, and then, yellow, rainbow. And then the other one was black. And I had one friend that says he had one, has one. And I was starting not to believe him because nothing has ever come up. And then I told Kathy Peroni about it. I think she might be on, I'm not sure, but and she looked on eBay and one had just popped up right then. So I hurried and bought it. Anyway, it's just funny.
I got a kick out of the one that you posted where the person was asking $1,695 plus $10 shipping. I mean,
yeah, I know.
Like
Yep. Couldn't the shipping be free?
I collect typewriters. I mean,
neat.
That's the fun part. Is you get that Royal typewriter. Wow, $20. That's great. $85 shipping.
To ship it.
Randy, I'll send you my wife's electric. It's sitting somewhere in here.
Yeah, my dad's closing his business down. In '94, he's finally doing it, and he has an IBM Selectric. So I mean, my name is taped all over that.
Ooh.
Wow.
I remember when they first came out.
Yeah.
when you collect
And,
typewriters, Randy, how do you paste them in the album?
You never heard of typewriter hinges?
Hey, Randy, can you still buy whiteout and stuff like that? Or
I don't know if about that. You could buy ribbons. I'm not sure if they still do. Staples and Office Depot still sold ribbons a few years ago. Not sure if
wow.
they still do.
You know a guy, Soberoff, that was in charge of the police commission? He's a
No.
big typewriter collector, and he ended up with the Unabomber's typewriter.
Oh, did he?
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
You know, there's a Lego typewriter. Do you have
I've
that,
seen-
Randy?
I don't have it, but I've seen photos of it. There are a couple of Chinese-made typewriters you can still buy. Of course, God knows what they'll cost with tariffs, but
The Lego one has it, you know, you can press all the keys, but the only action is the same. There's only one that, you know, no matter what you hit, it's just this one arm that comes up and hits the the scroll bar.
So,
But it's pretty
hopefully we'll
realistic.
have, good weather. I know some parts of the country are still getting hammered. We're supposed to be gray and gloomy and rain here tomorrow, which will be nice. We actually had rain the other day, which was a real surprise. So it's keeping our hills green, and I'm all for it. So,
do you have drizzle up there right now, Bill?
what's that?
Are you having drizzle right now?
No,
I don't think it's drizzling, but it's very gray and cold.
Yeah, I guess I just look out my window. The streets have dried up, but it was pretty wet when I got out of bed earlier.
I don't think it's come down here today, but it certainly has cooled down a lot. It's very chilly outside.
Yeah, it's been t-shirt weather the past few days, but not today.
No.
Let me see if I can find something here real quick about weather.
We're getting your weather tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
It's supposed to be rain.
You're in Salt Lake, right?
Yeah.
We've been sweating about weather in Texas. Our house closes on Tuesday.
Oh, I thought you already closed.
Severe warning weather. We're beginning severe thunderstorm weather warnings for the last 3 days around our house. About 10 miles from our house, there was fist-sized hail. It's like, no, just give us 3 more days.
Don, you're going.
Texas.
Sorry?
We're in Texas.
Round Rock, Texas, just north of Austin.
Yeah.
Last Saturday we had we didn't have a talk because I had the LAPD open house and pancake
I was going to
breakfast.
ask about that. Yeah.
I was trying to look for finding the video right now. If you want to see what it was like, it's very easy to replicate it. Go and stand inside your shower.
with a stack of pancakes.
Oh, well, I felt really bad. They decided, that, oh my God, it's going to rain. So they went off and got some party tent and put a big tent up over where the people could eat. So that wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, they didn't get a tent where the people were cooking the pancakes.
Oh no.
The lady was saying they were trying to cook them as fast as they could because they were getting soggier and soggier as the rain was coming down. So it was a real zoo. They should have called the damn thing off. And but it's sort of typical planning for us. But it was miserable. It was just the rain was just horrific.
Yeah, such good intent.
Yeah.
Sorry to see
Hey,
that
I
happen.
mean, I didn't have to wait long for pancakes. It wasn't much of a line. Oh,
Hey,
no,
Don.
like mad.
Yeah.
Are you? I'm sorry. You're moving. Are you moving to our coast?
No, I'm in Vermont now. We're just finally selling the house in Texas.
Oh, okay, right. So you're in
Yeah,
Vermont.
we're in Harrisburg, Vermont now. We've been here for almost a year. It just the real estate market in Texas died as soon as we put our house on the market.
Oh no.
So
Well,
we've been
Yeah,
waiting.
because
to
I
see-
thought it was long sold. Sorry.
Well, we thought it would be.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
we're almost done. This is assuming we don't have to replace the roof.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that the prices of California have held as well as they have.
Yes.
It's pretty amazing.
Well,
Same
they keep on
here in
going
Salt
up
Lake
here.
too.
Well, everybody just wants to come out here to the land of sunshine.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm going to go out into the gray and gloom and take Carol out to lunch, and we will see you next
That's nice.
next week then.
Real
Have a nice
fast.
weekend, everybody.
Hey,
Thanks,
enjoy
Bill.
lunch, you guys.
Okay.
Have a nice lunch, Carol.
Bye.